and asked what I was using to sing on, and it still sticks in my mind, and it was a really big deal to me that he said, well, I've got these 3 Sennheiser wireless microphones and receivers that Jean used to use. She's not using them anymore. Do you guys want them? And, didn't offer a price or whatever, just sent them to me free in a box. I got them one day. And we used those the whole time we were there. I mean, that's what we sung on the entire time. And that was just, and when you think about it, that helped we went and sang to all those different groups. You guys had a part in making that happen. And that was something I always appreciated. And that's something that a lot of people overlook. It's just something as small as that. That actually wasn't a small gesture. Those are expensive microphones, but.
Well, that's nice to hear, though. For us, it's nice to hear that they got used.
They definitely got used.
You can further things along with that, and also with that, David. One of the things that we do on the show, one of the features that I do every week is a feature group, and I don't tell any of the groups ahead of time that they're going to be the feature group on the show, and most of the groups, to tell you the truth, I don't even know who they're going to be till I start researching out on the internet, or I see their name someplace, or I go find a group and I do a feature group on them. But believe it or not, that is the group that is going to help us the most, because they are going to tell their friends about gospel music today, and their friends will start watching it. A lot of more established gospel singers and established groups really don't need to tell a lot of people about us. They get interviewed by many different people, and they're on many different television shows. But when you take a group that's virtually unknown and you feature them on Gospel Music Today, then that's how the word gets out to many other people, because I send a press release and say, please share this with your social media friends. Some do, some don't. But those that do, then we have more people listen to our show. Yeah.
Well, I've always appreciated you too, and we talked about this when we started the phone call. My first interview ever in gospel music was with Ken, and so I just thought it would be right for me to make my first interview that I've ever done with you two, and so I thank you for being able to do this. I do have one more question, and Ken, you mentioned just a moment ago about the golden age, what you called the golden age in gospel music. In your time spent researching and watching and interviewing, what do you think has changed the most? And this might be a loaded question, but what do you think's changed the most in the gospel music industry since you first started doing this?
I think since we came on board, I don't know if the big changes have happened in that time period. There's an ongoing battle with the aging of the audience, I think, and what I described as the golden age. The groups had their own 15, 30-minute radio programs, many times live, and then went to recorded. Groups had their own local television programs. They had the Gospel Singing Jubilee, which so many people remember, and the family would watch that on Sunday morning, and that included the kids. So the kids were exposed to it at that point. And that was all before we started doing our program, but I think those things have really had an impact, and I don't think they've been really replaced with another way to reach the audience, the audience that needs to be reached. A younger audience would be nice, although I think you have to get to a certain age before you can really appreciate the meaning of a lot of the gospel songs. But But there's no reason why kids wouldn't enjoy the programs and come to love the songs. But it's hard to get them exposed to it, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, it has. I guess there's a lot of factors involved as far as the young people, because I've seen. I mean, me as a young person, the way I was raised, I immediately enjoyed, and it had a lot to do with my parents, my father, and him listening to the Cathedrals and growing up and hearing their records and cassettes played, and it was sort of instilled into me. But I've since I've I'm 30, I'll be 35 years old this year, and certainly have had chances to make my own decisions in which what types of music I want to listen to and all that stuff. And I still very much have always loved this style of music, and I know that on the opposite side, being a performer in the industry, there's a lot of times you'll go to churches and they'll have something set aside for the younger crowd to do, as if they just know that there's no way that the young people are going to enjoy this.
That's part of the signs of our time, not only with technology, but remember back when they had the all-night singings, and for many years the only thing to do was their entertainment. That was their only entertainment, or listening to the Gospel Jubilee, and it was really special when they could go see a live performance. Now a person has to do is pick up their phone and go to YouTube, and they can watch any of it that they want. So
right.
I don't believe that Southern Gospel has kept up with the technology world, and I don't know how it could have been done anyway. But I think that's probably one of the issues now. There's just so much to fill our lives with. People don't even have time to go to church anymore. And that used to be what you did on Sunday morning.
Right.
So I think it's that same concept with Southern Gospel and with concerts. It's something you do now if you don't have anything else better to do.
It's difficult to compete with all the different avenues of entertainment that is out there, and it's one of the reasons why I sort of wanted to try to tap into this style of a show where people are using YouTube a lot more. I mean, most I don't know if this is. I mean, I can't speak for for everyone, but bringing this into something that a lot of people listening to this might not care about, but in the video games industry, the large majority of everyone involved in it, they get all of their content and information from YouTube. They're not reading magazines hardly anymore. They're not even necessarily going to websites as much even more other than YouTube, because it's so easy to go there and get all of your content, and you've got videos, and you've got, there's the visual stimuli, there's the audio stimuli. They get all of it right there. And even in our political culture today, there is a big movement happening on social media where a lot of the, we're hearing all about the fake news and about how all of this, the news sites are not being honest, and it's not real journalism anymore. It's just for, what they call clickbait and for, getting ratings and all this stuff. And so a lot of these personalities on YouTube are becoming more and more popular. And it's sort of where media is starting to go. And so I kind of wanted to capitalize on that and try to get into YouTube, to where it's easy for somebody, just to get on Facebook and, you post a YouTube link and they can click on it right there and then they can see it and they can listen to it. Podcast is a little bit behind that. I listen to podcasts. A lot of people I know listen to podcasts, but not everybody does. So I wanted to get into the video format. But as far as what you mentioned earlier about there not being a lot of different options, that's one of the things I kind of wanted to tackle in a future episode, a future commentary video. The differences between what we're calling the golden age and today, to where back then there wasn't a lot of competition. I'm not saying that they weren't good groups back then, because there certainly were, but going to a gospel concert used to be something that people, they'd get dressed up to do. It'd be almost like going to a ball or something. You'd make a night of it, and now it's just there's somebody at our church and it's a free concert, and nobody's there's not a huge drive to get there as far as motivation to be there. And so it's kind of been cheapened by the fact that there's so many other things out there, and there is a need for, I think, like you said, for this industry to compete with that, but it's just finding the correct avenue, the correct method, I think, to do that. That's the challenge.
Yeah. I think trying to relive and to try to hold on to the old days is not the answer. You know, when I mentioned the old days of the shows on television, you know, most people were lucky if they had 3 choices of what to watch on television. And when I started in broadcasting, there was a saying that if you owned a television broadcast license in any city in the country, it was like having a license to print money. It was a guaranteed fortune would be rolling in advertising. Well, television stations are struggling now. Newspapers are struggling now. Magazines are struggling now. Because of exactly what you said. There are so many different choices. And I think the world of Southern Gospel needs to look for opportunities and look for, I mean, nobody can predict what next year will bring, or what, you know, even what next month will bring, but we can't be continually looking at the way it used to be. We have to look at the way it's going to be.
For more information on the Gradys and Gospel Music Today, you can find them online at gospelmusictoday.com, as well as Facebook and YouTube. Ken and Jean have dedicated the last 15 years of their lives to bring us news about the music we love, and I hope you've enjoyed learning just a little bit more about them. Well, I really appreciate both of you making yourself available to this and to me. I hope to do more interviews like this in the future, and I wanted to just shed some light on 2 people, you two people, that I really do appreciate you and care for you, and I'm really glad that our paths have crossed in the past and that we were able to do this. So thank you so much for
Well, we appreciate you too, and we just want, because this is a new idea with doing something with the video and everything, and we just want to wish you the very best, because like you said, we're not really sure which way the industry's going, and if we can find a way to reach more people, then it's going to be excellent. And so I applaud your efforts, David, for doing this, and thank you for having us as your first guest.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thanks.
Gospel Music Today. Now, here are the hosts of Gospel Music Today, Ken and Jean Grady.
We are glad you could spend some time with us on Gospel Music Today. We have Southern Gospel news coming up, some concert updates, and Jean has a featured group.
A new group called Fortress.
From the National Quartet Convention, I'll be speaking to the members of The Sound on today's program, and you've been listening to some new music.
A new CD by Emmaus Road Quartet.
And you've been reading?
I've been out reading the Singing News magazine.
From the Memphis Quartet Convention, we have exclusive concert video of the Inspirations on today's program.
And what about the archive?
From the Creekside Gospel Music Convention a few years ago, Eagles Wings will be singing exclusive video on today's show.
Some of my favorite people. Let's get started.
You are watching Gospel Music Today. The news is next.
The ALG Gospel Network has signed on as a new streaming platform for gospel music. It's the project of artist James Marvell and producer Roy Young, and it's available online and through the Roku set-top streaming device. Godsey Media Management and The Promise have announced the addition of Jeremy Cato and Alyssa Scudder to the group. Alyssa is the daughter of group member Teresa Scudder. The founder of the group is Deborah Carter Peel. Glory Way Quartet has released a new single